Warning, chosen one. The enemy already knows who you are. Hell has seen the mark. And if you don't recognize it, you could spend your life walking in power, yet never unlocking it. Only 1 in a million bear this sign on the left hand, a sign feared in the spirit realm, a seal that says, your life belongs to heaven. The question is not whether you've been marked. The question is, will you awaken to it? Think about it. How many times has death circled your name? A car that missed you by inches, a sickness that should have buried you, nights when darkness almost devoured your mind, and yet, against all odds, you survived. That was not luck. It was divine interruption. That was heaven declaring, this one carries a mark hell cannot erase. Chosen one, if you feel this burning in your spirit, I dare you. Type 777 in the comments now. That number is not casual, it is covenant. And let me pause to thank every single one of you who has stood with us, especially those who gave through super thanks. You are not just watching, you are part of a prophetic movement that hell cannot silence. But listen carefully. Why does heaven hide this sign in plain sight? Why only the left hand? Why only 1 in a million? The answer has been buried in mystery for generations. And what I'm about to reveal may explain why your very existence terrifies the enemy. Stay until the end, because this could be the proof you've been waiting for. God's chosen ones, only 1 in a million, bear this mark on the left hand. Are you one? What is divine protection, and why has death missed you time after time? Chosen one, pause for a moment and weigh this truth. By every earthly measure, you were not supposed to be here. The trauma should have drowned you. The betrayal should have crushed you. The sickness should have ended you. Yet you stand. How? Because there is an invisible shield surrounding lives marked by heaven. It is written, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Can you sense the weight of those words pressing into your own story? The very breath in your lungs is already a contradiction to the odds. Every scar you bear whispers, you should have been gone, but you are still here. Could it be that your entire existence is living proof of something greater than chance? Many of the chosen begin in chaos, fractured families, shadows of generational curses, storms of despair. Yet even from the beginning, unseen hands pulled you back from the edge. A sudden delay on the road that spared your life. A fight you almost entered but didn't. A door that locked before you stepped through. Were these coincidences, or was someone intervening? The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Psalm 34:7. Every twist in your journey carries fingerprints of a presence you could not see but could feel. How many times have you thought you were unlucky when in reality you were hidden under wings you didn't recognize? And how different would your life look today if even one of those small accidents had not been blocked? Think of Elijah, weary and haunted, collapsed in the wilderness begging for death. Yet heaven sent bread and water by angelic hands. Even in the cave he was covered. Even in despair, his mission remained intact. In the same way, death has studied you, circled you, and prepared to strike. But the decree was heard in heaven. Not yet. Not because of your strength, but because your assignment still beats like a drum within eternity. Who else but you can break those chains in your bloodline? Who else but you carries words only your lips can release? He will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. Each delay of death is proof that you are not expendable. You are essential. Do you feel how precious your survival really is when entire generations may be waiting on your obedience? Real-world voices echo this same truth. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, once declared, "I never lose. I either win or learn." He was meant to be buried in obscurity, yet his life became a shield of hope for millions. His survival was not accidental, it was purposeful preservation. Does this not mirror your story, chosen one? You should have been erased, but instead you were refined. Mandela's prison cell became a furnace of preparation, and your darkest seasons have worked the same way. Can you imagine how heaven must see you now, standing not as a victim of history, but as a vessel of destiny? What looks wasted to man has always been investment to God, and history warns us through its villains. Cesare Borgia, a Renaissance prince intoxicated with power, sought to control fate with violence and manipulation. His cruelty carved fear into nations, but his end was swift. Struck down by disease at only 31, remembered more for corruption than legacy. Those who stand outside divine protection eventually collapse beneath their own weight. What empire can stand if it is not built on righteousness? What legacy can remain if it is birthed in blood and deceit? The silence of heaven around Borgia's ambitions was not absence, but judgment. How many powerful men have risen high only to crash suddenly because they trusted their cunning more than their creator? Nature whispers this mystery. The mighty oak tree survives countless storms, not because it avoids the wind, but because its roots run deep, unseen, clinging to hidden strength. You too have survived storms that should have snapped you in two, and still you rise because your foundation was set before time. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Every lightning strike, every raging wind only deepened your roots instead of destroying them. Doesn't this remind you that your life is not fragile like grass in the field, but enduring like a rooted tree by streams of living water? The storm that came to end you was secretly training you to stand taller. Sometimes protection wears the disguise of pain, a rejection letter, a betrayal you couldn't explain, a season of isolation. You thought it was punishment, yet it was preservation. Even when you cried, "Where is God?" His hand was there, blocking the dagger you never saw. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Your tears watered the soil of resilience. Your silence sharpened your hearing for heaven's voice. Can it be that the doors which slammed in your face were actually walls shielding you from hidden fire? One day, you will look back and see that every detour was part of the map. Chosen one, this is your moment to rise. Your scars are not shameful. They are signatures of preservation. Your delays were not denials. They were divine detours. Do not shrink back. Do not doubt the invisible shield that has carried you this far. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 121:7. Now is the time to walk in boldness, to claim the space that hell tried to steal, and to declare with unshaken resolve, I am preserved, I am chosen, I am still here. Stand up. The world is waiting for the mark you carry. And when you rise not alone. You rise carrying a torch that proves heaven still writes stories in flesh and blood. You were spared, shielded, and sanctified for such a time as this. Death tried, and it failed, again and again. Now walk like one who has been covered by fire, not with fear, but with unshaken authority. Your first escape wasn't a chance. It was a declaration stamped into eternity. Long before you ever knew you were chosen, your spirit was already under siege. The enemy saw your light before your lips ever formed a prayer. It moved early, hoping to strangle what heaven had barely begun to unfold. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. Isaiah 54:17. Can you see how even before you knew your worth, heaven already stood guard over your destiny? That first attack wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. Some of you wrestled in the womb, complications, close calls, trauma before breath. Others met their first battle in childhood, illness that baffled doctors, accidents that came without reason, abuse that carved shadows into tender hearts. To the world it looked like ordinary suffering, but it wasn't. It was the first attempt at spiritual assassination. The psalmist declares, "From birth I was cast on you. From my mother's womb you have been my God." Psalm 22:10. If he claimed you then, is it any wonder the enemy sought to destroy you before your purpose matured? And yet, here you stand. What does it mean that what should have ended you only introduced you to resilience? The enemy doesn't wait until you are powerful. It fears what you will become, so it strikes while you are unarmed. But even then, divine protection was present. You were covered before you were conscious of it. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 121:7. That moment you nearly choked, but help arrived in seconds. That unexplainable sickness that vanished as suddenly as it appeared. That car that spun out of control, but left you walking away unharmed. Behind each of those moments, there was invisible warfare. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. Can you recall those strange escapes that logic could not explain? Nature tells this story with symbols etched into creation. The butterfly's fragile wings are its shield, yet storms that should destroy it only lift it higher, carried by winds it does not control. The salmon swims against furious currents, leaping waterfalls to reach the hidden place of birth, surviving odds that would annihilate weaker creatures. The desert cactus blooms radiant flowers in brutal heat, proving that beauty can grow where life is least expected. Aren't these mirrors of your own survival? Like the butterfly, you were lifted by forces beyond your strength. Like the salmon, you endured currents that should have swept you away. Like the cactus, you blossomed in barren seasons where others saw only death. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken but endures forever. Psalm 125:1. Some of you were marked from the beginning, feeling too deeply, sensing what others couldn't, dreaming visions that later unfolded in reality. That wasn't imagination. That was evidence of divine imprint. You carried antennas tuned to heaven's frequency before you had language for it. And because of that mark, the enemy moved to silence you early. Yet even in the nightmare, even in the accident, even in the sleepless nights, you were never abandoned. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. What if your sensitivity wasn't a curse but a compass? What if the very things that made you feel different were the very reasons you were chosen? Chosen one, hear this truth. Your survival is not a coincidence. It is a commission. Every time death missed you, heaven was declaring, your assignment is not over. Rise today with that awareness. Walk as one who carries fire in their bones. Refuse to shrink back, because the mark on you is evidence of covenant. Stand tall, live boldly. For if the enemy failed at your beginning, it cannot claim your ending. That was the gift beginning to flicker. It made you sensitive, yes, but it also made you sovereign. For you, survival was more than an accident. It was woven into an assignment. The very first time death missed you, something irreversible shifted in the unseen. A portal opened, and without understanding why, you began to feel deeper, think differently, carry a weight you could not explain. That was not a chance, it was an awakening. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Do you realize what it means that heaven had already written your name long before you even took your first breath? That moment marked you. You walked away not just alive, but awakened. You didn't escape by accident. Your timeline was preserved by a hand greater than your own. Your purpose could not be interrupted. Heaven whispered over your life, "The story isn't finished." From that moment forward, nothing in your journey was ordinary. You were being shaped in fire, not for destruction, but for destiny. And fire, though fierce, refines rather than consumes the chosen. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Isaiah 43:2. Could it be that the flames that terrified you were never meant to kill you, but to reveal you? And so, if your beginning felt heavier than most, it's because you survived what others never could. You were never meant to walk away unchanged. Your scars became signatures of preservation. And your second escape didn't come through bullets or blades, but through something far quieter and far more dangerous: the collapse within. This time, death didn't roar at your door. It crept softly, disguised in weariness, hidden in silence, woven into the slow fading of hope. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. John 10:10. How many nights did you carry a smile outwardly while secretly unraveling inside? You weren't fighting for your body. You were fighting for your mind. The battleground was invisible, but the wounds were real. And though the world around you saw someone functional, moving, even laughing, inside, your thoughts were collapsing like fragile walls. That was no accident. It was a spiritual attack, as lethal as any sword. The enemy, realizing the first attempt failed, shifted tactics. This time it moved inward, feeding you lies, cloaked in your own voice. You're not enough. You'll never change. You are forgotten. And yet, even in that silence, a greater voice whispered, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Psalm 23:4. Have you noticed how the voice of truth never shouted, but it always lingered, refusing to let you go? The arts echo this struggle. In Beethoven's Symphony No. 5, the opening notes strike like a hammer, short, sharp, unrelenting. For centuries, musicians have called it fate knocking at the door. Isn't that what you've lived? Fate, tragedy, despair, pounding at your spirit again and again. But just as Beethoven refused to let darkness dominate his composition, weaving the sound into triumph, heaven has been weaving your suffering into strength. The music of your life is not ending in minor notes of defeat, but rising in crescendos of victory. Can you feel the resonance of your own symphony taking shape? Chosen one, hear this. Your survival was never random. It was always evidence. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 121:7. You endured the fire without being consumed, the silence without being forgotten, the lies without being defined. This is your hour to rise. Stand now as one who carries the testimony of survival, the authority of refinement, and the fire of destiny. Declare it boldly. I am not here by accident. I am chosen. I am alive for purpose. And if the enemy failed at my beginning, it cannot own my ending. You're too broken. There's no reason to keep going. Those words, whether whispered by the enemy or echoed in your own mind, twisted your thoughts, blurred your purpose, poisoned your joy. Long seasons of depression tried to drain you like a desert swallowing water. Loneliness pressed down so heavy it felt like suffocation. Anxiety turned even simple tasks into impossible mountains. Maybe no one saw it. Maybe you wore a smile in public. But heaven saw. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Do you realize how powerful it is that you survived a war invisible to others, but fully known to God? Every breath you take now is a testimony of resistance. Every sunrise you woke to, even when you wished the night would never end, was proof of heaven's stubborn mercy. And if you're still here, Isn't it clear that your story is far from over? Some of you lived in toxic environments that drained your soul like leaking foundations in a crumbling house. Others carried invisible wounds, scars no one else could understand, yet they dictated your choices, your nights, your silence. And still, you made it through. Maybe not loudly, maybe not gracefully, but you came through. And that was no small thing. This wasn't just survival, it was holy resistance. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. 2 Corinthians 4:8. What if the very fact that you still breathe is itself the testimony that darkness cannot erase design? You may feel fragile, but even fragile glass can reflect the sun. You may feel cracked, but cracked soil still births wildflowers. Doesn't your survival, even in brokenness, shine brighter than perfection ever could? You were pursued because your very presence unsettles darkness, not by your words or strength, but by your existence. The enemy couldn't destroy you outright, so it sought to disconnect you, isolating your mind from truth, convincing your thoughts to turn against you. Its aim was not to kill the body, but to persuade the heart to surrender. Yet divine protection intervened, a whisper of hope at midnight, a song you stumbled on that reminded you of worth, a sunrise that broke through the heaviness. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. Isaiah 40:29. Haven't you noticed how, just when you were about to collapse, something shifted the frequency of your soul back toward life? That was not random. It was a rescue. And if heaven has fought for you before, what makes you think it won't fight for you again? This was no accident. Your tears were not ignored. Your silence was not empty. Angels respond to surrender, even the surrender that comes in exhausted whispers. That internal escape revealed your greatest strength, that even when your mind bent under pressure, it did not break. Psychologists call the brain neuroplastic, meaning it can rewire, adapt, reshape under stress. Doesn't that sound like what your spirit has done all along, rewiring despair into endurance? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. The battlefield was your thoughts, but the victory was already secured in your persistence. And perhaps the very cracks in your thinking became entry points for grace, allowing light to seep into the darkest corners of your mind. What others call weakness, heaven calls proof of resilience. The sciences echo this mystery. In physics, resonance occurs when one frequency sets another into motion without touching it. In the same way, your spirit resonated with heaven's voice, even when your body was too tired to move. In architecture, a keystone holds an arch together, bearing impossible weight though it appears small. Isn't that what you've been? Hidden yet essential, holding up the structure of your destiny under crushing pressure? And in sports, athletes know the power of the pause, the stillness between plays where strategy is reborn. Your stillness was never a weakness. It was heaven's timeout, setting you up to rise again with renewed force. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Can you feel that even your pauses were not wasted, but designed to prepare you for acceleration? Your silence was scaffolding. Your waiting was construction. Your breath itself was an anthem. Your mind, though weary, remained a battlefield of victory. And when darkness saw you still breathing, still rising, still hoping, it backed away in defeat. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. What tried to bury you has become the very ground you rise from. What nearly ended you has made your purpose unshakable. Chosen one, you didn't give up. You were delivered. And now this is your moment to stand. Do not call yourself broken when heaven calls you chosen. Do not shrink when your scars are the very proof of covenant. Stand tall, speak boldly, For if despair could not erase you, nothing can stop the destiny burning within you. And when you rise, the world will not just see a survivor. They will see a living cathedral of grace, built brick by brick through trials, crowned now with glory. And your comeback is proof that divine protection doesn't just save the body, it rescues the soul. The third time death came, it had form, it had weight, it had teeth. This wasn't just an emotional collapse or a spiritual whisper in the night. This was blood, bone, metal. Tangible moments when time slowed down and eternity held its breath. A crash, a violent act, a failing heartbeat, a misstep that should have cost you everything. You were in danger, no question. Yet, here you are. Though they plot evil against you and devise wicked schemes, they cannot succeed. Psalm 21:11. Do you see what it means that you walked away from a scene where statistics say you should have been erased? You may remember hearing someone say afterward, "You're lucky to be alive." But you and heaven know better. It wasn't luck. It was intervention. A second too soon and you would have been gone. A slightly different angle and it would have been over. But it wasn't. Heaven spoke. Not this time, not this one. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Psalm 121:3. Haven't you ever wondered why you were spared, while others were not? Isn't it clear that mercy chose you, not because you deserved it, but because your assignment was still unfinished? Some of you carry scars from that day, etched into skin as constant reminders. Others carry only a blurred memory, burning but hazy, flashes of what almost was. Either way, you were caught mid-collapse, snatched back from the brink, pulled from a moment that should have ended your timeline. Why? Because the story isn't finished. You will not die. Instead, you will live and proclaim what the Lord has done. Psalm 118:17. Could it be that the very breath in your lungs right now is proof that heaven has not yet released you from your post? History reminds us through modern voices. The famed Polish painter Zdzisław Beksinski, known for his haunting surreal works, once said after surviving wartime trauma, "I wish to paint in such a way that if one person feels what I felt, I will have succeeded." He carried scars of war, yet turned his survival into art that still awakens hearts. Doesn't that echo your journey? You were spared, not only to exist, but to translate your pain into power, your scars into story, your survival into song. Isn't it striking that artists, leaders, and visionaries who passed through fire became the very conduits of hope for generations after them? The enemy knew your calling carried too much weight to be left unchecked. That's why death keeps circling and failing. You've passed through fire, and now you walk with authority. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. Isaiah 43:2. Doesn't your journey prove that the attempts against you were not signs of weakness, but evidence of your worth? What almost destroyed you has only solidified your purpose. Chosen one, hear this. Your scars are not accidents, they are sacred signatures. Your voice still carries awakening. Your hands still hold healing. Your very breath still has instructions coded into it. The Spirit of God has made me. The breath of the Almighty gives me life. Job 33:4. Now rise. Refuse to live small when heaven has proven you indestructible. Refuse to hide when your survival is the clearest evidence of divine protection. Stand tall. Walk boldly. For if death failed 3 times, it cannot claim your ending. You are chosen, you are preserved, and you are unstoppable. You've seen the edge and returned with clarity. This wasn't just survival, it was living proof. Proof that your purpose outranks pain. Proof that heaven holds veto power over the enemy's plan. And now, with every escape behind you, something has shifted. You are no longer merely protected, you are prepared. Your life is not an accident. Your delays were never detours, they were divine positioning. 3 brushes with death, 3 divine interventions. Each one sealed the truth. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Psalm 138 verse 8. Haven't you noticed that even the things meant to crush you ended up carving clarity into your soul? What others called coincidence was actually covenant. What others saw as a narrow escape was heaven's handwriting across your story. And isn't it astonishing that what tried to silence you has only made your voice louder? Every scar tells a story of interception. You were never just surviving, you were being sent. You were spared not to merely exist, but to unleash what heaven planted within you. And that purpose is still unfolding, line by line, moment by moment. You don't need to ask if you are marked by heaven. Your survival has already answered that question. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit. John 15:16. Isn't it striking that while others saw coincidence, heaven saw commissioning? The fact that you are still here is not random, it is evidence. Can you see how the pain that once felt meaningless is now being redeemed into purpose? Even the delays you once cursed are being revealed as detours into destiny. Your timeline carries inscriptions that can't be erased. Moments you weren't supposed to survive. Pain that shaped you rather than broke you. Every escape was a message, a reminder that you are still needed, still becoming, still covered. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. What if the punishment you thought you were under was actually heaven's way of positioning you for power? What if the weight you carried was proof of the assignment you were born to complete? The storms that came against you were never meant to erase you, but to etch resilience into your spirit. Doesn't your timeline itself read like a testimony, chapter after chapter of near endings transformed into new beginnings? Your scars are not the end of the story. They are the ink heaven used to write your commissioning. But history also warns us through those who lived the opposite. Nero, the infamous Roman emperor, wielded cruelty as his crown. He persecuted believers, burned cities, and drowned Rome in terror. Yet his reign ended in disgrace, taking his own life, abandoned and despised. Isn't it clear? Without divine covering, power turns to poison and legacy to ashes. The schemes of the wicked may roar for a moment, but though they plot evil against you and devise wicked schemes, they cannot succeed. Psalm 21:11. Do you see how Nero, with all his armies, wealth and influence, could not withstand the silence of heaven? What he built through fear collapsed into dust, while what is built on covenant still stands millennia later. His story is a warning. What is birthed in rebellion cannot outlive the breath of God. Doesn't this contrast only highlight how secure your life is under heaven's shield? You, chosen one, are proof of the opposite story. Where darkness sought to end you, God used the attempt to elevate you. Where others fell, you rose. Where villains wrote their endings in despair, your life is being rewritten in hope. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. What was meant for your ruin became your rehearsal for purpose. Isn't it undeniable now that you walk not as a victim, but as a vessel? Every loss has been turned into leverage, every scar into strategy, every delay into divine design. And if God's plans could not be cancelled by death 3 times, why would you doubt they can carry you to completion? Chosen one, stand tall. Your scars are not shame, they are sacred signatures. Your delays are not denials, they are divine positioning. Your survival is not random, it is revelation. Do not hide your story, for your very breath testifies of the covenant. Rise now, not timidly, but boldly, for if death failed 3 times, it cannot own your ending. Walk as one who carries heaven's seal, for you are not merely alive, you are chosen, preserved, and unstoppable. And when you rise carrying proof that divine purpose is stronger than every plot, brighter than every shadow, and louder than every lie. This is your call. Lift your head, steady your steps, and move as one sent. For heaven has written your name into eternity's architecture. Each encounter with death didn't just spare you, it activated you. These moments cracked the fragile illusion of this world and opened your eyes to what is real, eternal, and spiritual. Near death never leaves a person the same. It rewires you, reshaping how you see and how you move. Sensitivity becomes discernment. Intuition becomes instruction. Call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. Haven't you felt that since your survival, even ordinary days carry extraordinary weight? That the air itself seems to whisper truths that others overlook? Could it be that what tried to bury you was secretly birthing your sight? After each escape, your perception changed. The fire didn't just spare you, it rewired you. What once felt like fragile sensitivity is now sharp spiritual intelligence. You began sensing what others missed. An energy shift before a single word was spoken. Patterns emerging from chaos. Warnings hidden in silence. This isn't imagination, it's inheritance. But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things. John 14:26. Haven't you noticed that what once felt like weakness is now your strongest weapon? What others dismiss as just a feeling is, for you, a signal from heaven itself. Doesn't this prove that when death misses you, heaven marks you? And nature itself mirrors this truth. The eagle. While smaller birds flee from the storm, the eagle spreads its wings and lets the winds lift it higher. Isn't that what happened to you? The storm that came to break you only carried you to a new height. Or think of the volcano. Beneath the earth, pressure builds for years in silence until one day it erupts with unstoppable force. Your silence, your delays, your hidden years. They were not punishment, but pressure preparing you for release. Or the seed buried in darkness. It is pressed into soil, invisible and forgotten, yet its burial is the beginning of its bloom. Unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. John 12:24. Isn't your survival proof that what looked like burial was really planting? Timing begins to feel divine. Doors close, but never without reason. Setbacks sting, but they sculpt your spirit. You walked through fire, and now you carry fire. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Isaiah 43:2. Some of you still feel late, like the world moved ahead while you lingered in silence. But silence was not failure, it was refinement. Can you see that the waiting sharpened you like metal on a whetstone? The very delay you despised was the training you required. Doesn't it make sense now that your destiny demanded more than speed? It demanded precision. Divine destiny often hides its chosen ones until their spirit is sharp enough to carry the weight of calling. Every setback became a route, every delay a recalibration. For the vision awaits its appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Even the enemy recognized your blueprint early. That is why the attacks began before you could defend yourself. But what the enemy saw as a chance to strike was, in truth, a stage for your unveiling. And if heaven has preserved you through storms, silences, and scars, why would you doubt its power to carry you into glory? Chosen one, rise now. Your scars are not weights but wings. Your delays are not denials but designs. Your survival is not coincidence but covenant. Stand tall, for you carry the fire of endurance, the roots of resilience, and the sight of eternity. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Walk as one who knows that death has already failed. Storms have already lifted you, and heaven has already marked you. The time is no longer to wonder. It is to rise. It knew your voice would disrupt systems, that your very presence would heal others and unsettle darkness. So it struck fast, through trauma, abandonment, confusion, not to destroy your body, but to fracture your identity, to make you forget who you are. But heaven intervened again and again. You didn't just survive, you awakened. You crossed thresholds others fear to approach, walking through fires that left no smell of smoke upon you. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. Isaiah 43:2. Can you see that the very things that should have destroyed you have become the things that define your authority? Doesn't your endurance reveal that your light was never ordinary, but eternal? You are not behind. You are being launched at divine speed. What seemed delayed is now aligning. What felt buried is now rising. You are not forgotten. You are not broken. You are becoming. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. What if your rejection was never a dismissal, but a redirection? What if the years you thought wasted were actually foundations hidden underground, carrying more weight than you realized? The delays you cursed were really preparations you could not yet see. Haven't you noticed how, when the time is right, alignment happens in a way no human hand could engineer? You weren't saved by accident. You were saved on purpose, for purpose. You weren't born into ease. You were born into warfare. That was never a mistake. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness. Ephesians 6:12. Souls chosen to shift generational patterns are rarely born into peace. They are born into fire, because fire forges what comfort never could. Haven't you asked why your battles seemed fiercer than those around you? Could it be because your assignment carries more weight than theirs? The fiercest storms always surround the tallest mountains. Doesn't your life prove that heaven never wastes pain? You were sent to disrupt, to awaken, to rebuild, and that kind of purpose always triggers resistance. The enemy saw your potential long before you did. It recognized the blueprint of a healer, a breaker, a voice that would awaken others. That's why the attacks came early, through trauma, betrayal, confusion. Not because you were weak, but because your light was dangerous. The Lord called me before I was born. While I was in my mother's womb, He named me. Isaiah 49:1. Isn't it amazing that the enemy targeted what you didn't even know you carried, yet could not destroy it? What should have fractured you only revealed how unbreakable your design really is. The arts echo this truth. In Victor Hugo's Les Misérables, Jean Valjean, once imprisoned and branded a criminal, finds redemption through mercy and rises to become a protector of others. His scars did not define his destiny. His response to grace did. Isn't that your story too? That though chains tried to mark you, heaven wrote a different ending. That though you walked through shadows of betrayal and despair, the light within you still rose like dawn. Just as Valjean turned captivity into compassion, you are turning wounds into weapons of healing. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done. Genesis 50:20. Doesn't this prove that even the darkest attacks bend to the hand of divine purpose? And here you are. You didn't break. You didn't lose your mind. You didn't disappear into the silence. You stand, chosen one, with scars that testify louder than any sermon. The Spirit of God has made me. The breath of the Almighty gives me life. Job 33:4. This is your moment to rise, not as one barely surviving, but as one burning with unshakable destiny. Walk now in the authority of one who has been through fire and comes out refined. Refuse to shrink back. Refuse to forget who you are. Heaven has named you, sealed you, and sent you. Stand tall. The time of hiding is over. The world will soon recognize what heaven already knew. You are chosen, preserved, and unstoppable. Every failed attempt only confirmed what heaven had already declared. You are chosen. You are still rising, still unfolding. Darkness tried to cancel your destiny, but heaven thundered back with a single word: no. Survival was never the end. It was the opening chapter. Now comes alignment, where every step begins to synchronize with divine timing. You have become spiritually visible. Your light can no longer move through life unnoticed. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Have you realized that your existence has shifted from background noise to a trumpet sound in the Spirit? Doesn't your very survival testify that heaven refuses to let you fade into silence? And if heaven itself calls you visible, why would you try to remain invisible? Each escape from death was not only protection, it was permission to live audibly, to shine unapologetically. This visibility comes with weight. It means your energy must be guarded like a sacred fortress. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Discernment has become your armor. That heaviness you feel in certain rooms, the unease around certain people, it's not paranoia. It's your compass, heaven's internal radar system guiding you through atmospheres. Psychologists call it somatic intelligence, the body knowing before the mind does. Haven't you noticed how your spirit reacts long before your logic catches up? Isn't that sensitivity actually your greatest strength? My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. You are no longer free to ignore these nudges. To do so would be to walk blindfolded into enemy territory. What once seemed like overthinking has revealed itself as spiritual foresight. And foresight is what keeps you alive. Protect your peace like holy ground. You no longer have the luxury of spiritual carelessness. Boundaries are not arrogance, they are architecture. Think of a cathedral. Its walls are not built to reject people, but to preserve sacredness. In the same way, your boundaries preserve your purpose. Not everyone is meant to walk with you now, and that's not rejection, it's divine separation. Do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Amos 3:3. Doesn't it make sense that when you're carrying fire, not all can be trusted to walk that closely? Isn't it better to walk with few in covenant than many in compromise? Even great builders know that a structure cannot rise without scaffolding, and yet scaffolding is temporary. So too with people. Some were scaffolding, useful for a season but never intended to remain. Can you recognize who is covenant and who was scaffolding? That clarity is itself a form of divine protection. Your practices, prayer, fasting, journaling, silence, are not mere rituals. They are weapons. They align your soul with divine timing, tuning your spirit to heaven's frequency. In physics, resonance occurs when two frequencies match, amplifying each other's strength. That's what happens when your spirit resonates with God's spirit. your small voice amplified by his eternal sound. Doesn't this explain why your prayers, though whispered, shake things unseen? The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5:16. And haven't you felt how fasting sharpens perception, silence clarifies chaos, and journaling anchors revelation? These are not habits, they are strategies of survival. Just as a musician must tune their instrument before playing, your disciplines tune your spirit to play in harmony with heaven. To neglect them is to live out of tune with destiny. To honor them is to release a sound that shifts atmospheres. You've seen what happens when your guard drops. Compromise weakens, distractions derail, careless connections cost dearly. But with every escape, you were refined. Not erased, but remade. You are not the same. You don't see with the same eyes. You don't chase noise. You hunger for stillness, truth, and substance. In sports, commentators often speak of the calm before the play, those seconds where silence becomes the womb of strategy. Isn't that what your stillness has become? The birthplace of divine moves. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is no longer passive waiting. It is strategic positioning. It is the architect's pause before laying the cornerstone, the conductor's silence before the orchestra erupts. Can you feel how even your silence is now holy? It is no longer emptiness, it is energy gathering for the next release. Chosen one, rise now. Live with intention. Walk guarded, not in fear, but in focus. Honor your light, for it was never given cheaply. Protect your peace, for it fuels your power. Stand as one who carries resonance with eternity. For you are not merely surviving, you are aligned, refined, and unstoppable. Lift your head, steady your spirit, and declare with boldness, I am chosen, I am preserved, I am sent. The world may not understand, but heaven already knows. This is your hour to rise. And when you rise not only for yourself, but for every generation tied to your obedience. Your ascent is not solitary, it is architectural, building something eternal that will outlive your breath. After walking through fire, your silence speaks louder than any shout. You no longer beg to be understood, you have become understanding itself. You've paid in pain, but the return is the purpose. You've become a vessel awakened, refined by battles others never saw. And now, every step you take is charged with meaning. Every breath is on assignment. This is who you are now, not just alive, but activated. Not just chosen, but crowned. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. Job 23:10. Haven't you realized that your survival is no longer about merely existing, but about being evidence of heaven's refining fire? Could it be that what others call scars are really seals of commissioning? You were never ordinary, and your presence reveals it. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. Some lean in, others pull away. Not because of how you look, but because of what you carry. There is something ancient in your spirit, something heaven encoded long before your first breath. You're not just noticed, you're felt. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Why do you think people respond without even knowing why? Isn't it because what radiates from you cannot be contained by appearance? Isn't it because heaven's mark cannot be disguised by flesh? You were marked not by men, but by the Most High. You no longer need applause, for your confirmation came through fire. You were protected in darkness, kept when you didn't even know you needed saving. That knowing now lives in your bones. It is marrow deep. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. Why is it that when everything around you breaks, you still move with peace? Why is it that when others fold under pressure, you remain? Could it be because the hand that preserved you is still guiding you even now? Doesn't your composure in chaos testify louder than any sermon? Your stillness speaks louder than noise. Your silence unsettles systems because it carries weight. You were preserved to become a vessel of healing, clarity, and truth. Healing that transcends medicine, clarity that cuts through confusion, truth that liberates what lies have bound. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Haven't you noticed how your words pierce deeper than casual advice? How your presence alone feels like restoration? Isn't it because you carry what this fractured world still needs? Real-world voices echo this mystery. The late Desmond Tutu, Archbishop of South Africa, once said, "Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness." He carried that conviction through the fires of apartheid, becoming a global symbol of reconciliation. Doesn't that mirror your journey? Out of oppression, hope was forged. Out of suffering, peace was birthed. Just as Tutu's hope became a weapon against injustice, your stillness is becoming a weapon against despair. Could it be that your endurance is not only for you, but for those who will draw strength from your testimony? The world still needs what is inside you. You've become a mirror reflecting what others cannot yet see in themselves. Christ in you, the hope of glory, Colossians 1:27. And when they look into your life, they glimpse the hope they thought was lost. Your scars are no longer signs of pain. They are invitations to healing. Your silence is no longer emptiness. It is a reservoir of wisdom. You are no longer waiting for recognition. Heaven already declared you unstoppable. Chosen one, stand now. Rise with the authority of one refined by fire, confirmed in silence, preserved by covenant. Lift your head, protect your peace, and move with holy confidence, for you were never ordinary. You were never random. You were never forgotten. You are chosen, crowned, and unstoppable. The world is waiting not for perfection, but for the reflection you already carry. So rise, not in fear, but in fire. This is your hour. Not because you are flawless, but because you faced what many fear, despair, surrender, near destruction, and still you stand. Not weaker, but wiser. Not shattered, but sharpened. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a vessel on assignment, carrying evidence in your very being that God's power is greater than human frailty. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. Haven't you noticed that your cracks did not destroy you, but only made the light inside shine brighter? Could it be that the very moments you thought would ruin you became the proof that you were never walking alone? Every bruise became a testimony. Every tear became ink in your story. Every fall became training for the rise you now embody. If God trusted you to endure those valleys, doesn't that mean He has prepared you for mountains yet to climb? If you ever doubt who you've become, look closely. You are living evidence of divine intervention, a walking prophecy, a vessel awakened and refined. You don't just carry a story, you are the story heaven is telling in this generation. And to the ones still unsure, still wrestling with whether it was all real, hear this. Yes, it was. Those escapes, those near misses, that inner nudge that stopped you just in time, that was not luck. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. Isn't it clear now that what looked like coincidence was covenant? Doesn't your timeline itself reveal a pattern too precise to be chance? The interventions weren't random interruptions. They were rehearsals for your revelation. Every moment of rescue was heaven's signature on the contract of your destiny. Can you deny that your very existence is divine proof written in flesh? The danger was real, but so was the protection. The arrows did fly, the traps were set, the lies were whispered, but heaven shielded you. You were taught to doubt the language of your soul, but your spirit remembers the truth. You're not overthinking, you're awakening. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. What if the unease you felt before stepping into the wrong place was not fear, but divine direction? Haven't you sensed that the pauses, the delays, even the sudden no's in your life were heaven whispering guidance? The spirit inside you was not silent. It was speaking through instinct, through discernment, through holy resistance. You thought you were stumbling, but you were actually being steered. Isn't it clear now that heaven has been guiding you in ways words could never capture? History itself warns us through the lives of those who ignored divine signals. King Belshazzar of Babylon, who mocked the sacred vessels of the temple and exalted himself in pride. The writing appeared on the wall, literally declaring his kingdom's end. That very night his reign was finished. Daniel 5:30-31. His downfall was not just political, it was spiritual. Doesn't this show that ignoring heaven's warnings leads not to triumph, but to sudden collapse? And isn't it striking that where Belshazzar perished in pride, you have been preserved in humility? God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. James 4:6. His banquet ended in silence, but your wilderness birthed a voice. His kingdom crumbled overnight, but your foundation has only grown stronger with time. Isn't it astonishing that the same God who wrote judgment on his wall has written mercy across your life? His end warns you, but your endurance proves that heaven has chosen you. If you've ever whispered, "Something saved me, but I don't know what," that was your confirmation. The pause that kept you from stepping into disaster, the sudden shift that pulled you back from harm, the unexplainable help that came in your weakest moment, that was heaven, not an accident, not imagination. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 121:7. Could it be any clearer that your life was never random, that every near death was a near birth into deeper awareness, that every escape was an announcement, you are chosen, you are needed, you are marked? Even when you doubted your own worth, heaven never revoked its claim on you. Even when you tried to quit, the covenant pulled you back. Haven't you realized by now that survival was not your finish line, but your starting point into destiny? Chosen one, stand tall now. Your scars are not shame, they are signatures. Your delays are not denials, they are divine positioning. Your survival is not coincidence, it is confirmation. Rise not timidly, but boldly. For if death has failed to claim you, it cannot claim your destiny. Walk as one awakened, refined, and unstoppable. Heaven has preserved you, history has warned you, and now eternity is calling you forward. This is not the season to shrink back. This is the moment to rise. And when you rise, you don't rise alone. You rise carrying every promise, every assignment, and every testimony tied to your bloodline. Your obedience is the sound of future generations being set free. Stand now, chosen one. For the story heaven is writing through you has only just begun. When you wake up changed after walking through what should have ended you, understand this: that wasn't random, it was divine intervention. You've been transformed, though you're still unfolding the meaning of that transformation. You were never meant to fit the mold. You were born to break it, to awaken slowly and then all at once. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Haven't you noticed that the very cracks which made you feel fragile were the same openings through which light entered? Doesn't it strike you that survival alone would not explain the wisdom you now carry? Your life has always been more than survival. It has been an assignment in motion, and if this message resonates even slightly, understand this: your story has always been divinely ordered. Confusion wasn't failure, it was refining. The questions, the wandering, the nights you thought were wasted, those were chisels shaping you. The steps of a righteous person are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37:23. It kept you seeking, broke you open for truth when it finally arrived, and made you hungry for answers only heaven could provide. How else can you explain the way clarity suddenly appears after long silence? Haven't you realized yet that even in the storm, you were being guided by unseen hands? Your very uncertainty became the soil where faith was planted. Nature itself testifies of this process. The pearl, it is formed inside an oyster only because of irritation, a grain of sand that becomes beauty. Isn't that your story? What irritated and cut you became the very thing heaven turned into treasure. Or think of the redwood tree. Its seeds can only germinate after surviving fire. What looks like devastation actually awakens hidden life. Haven't you felt that your fire seasons awakened something in you that silence never could? Even the caterpillar must dissolve completely inside the cocoon before emerging as a butterfly. Doesn't that mirror the way your breaking become your birthing? For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. 2 Corinthians 4:17. You weren't late. You weren't imagining it. You weren't broken beyond repair. You were being positioned. Even what felt like delay was God sharpening your spirit for destiny. It was heaven's way of saying, not yet. Not like this. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Some doors you begged to open would have destroyed your calling. Some relationships you clung to would have dimmed your light. Isn't it grace that those things slipped away? Doesn't hindsight reveal that what looked like punishment was actually preservation? Your wilderness was not empty. It was a workshop where heaven covered you until everything was ready. Many who rushed ahead of you burned out early, but you were being refined. Some who seemed to win quickly are already forgotten, while your roots were growing deeper in hidden soil. Those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Haven't you felt it in your chest? Something shifting, a rhythm of acceleration pulsing through your spirit. Could it be that every delay was simply storing energy for this moment? Doesn't your stillness now feel like the silence before an earthquake, the pause before the ground breaks open with power? What heaven preserved in you is now rising. Chosen one, this is your hour. Stand not as one delayed, but as one deployed. Your scars are not shameful, they are seals. Your delays are not denials, they are divine alignments. Rise with authority, for you were preserved to shine, refined to endure, and awakened to lead. The world may not yet see, but heaven already knows. You were never late. You were always on time. And now, the shift you feel is not imagination, it is invitation. Step forward, chosen one. Your appointed time has come. Time is catching up to you. The delay is lifting. Acceleration is here. What once took years will now unfold in moments. Everything lost will return, reshaped in divine form. Everything you learned in silence will now serve others in power. You were spared for a reason. The enemy tried again and again, but couldn't stop what heaven had already sealed. For the vision awaits an appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Haven't you noticed how what once felt like wasted seasons now suddenly align into purpose? Isn't it clear that the pauses were never punishment, but preparation? Even the years that felt stolen are being redeemed. Doesn't it stir something in you to realize that your timeline is still on schedule, no matter how many detours you thought delayed you? You weren't left behind. You were held back for impact. You are not just a survivor. You are a sign. You were hidden for refinement, not rejection. Heaven sharpened your spirit to carry the weight of your assignment. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. 2 Corinthians 4:8. Doesn't your very survival prove that you are stronger than every storm meant to bury you? Could it be that your hidden years were not silence, but sacred rehearsal? And now, chosen one, you rise whole, ready, and right on time. The furnace of delay forged resilience. The secret place produced strength. You weren't overlooked. You were overprepared. Doesn't that explain why what used to break you now only bends you into prayer? The veil has lifted, and your spirit recognizes what your mind spent years trying to understand. You were never walking alone, never suffering without reason, never surviving by accident. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. What if the weight you carried was not a curse, but a crown in disguise? Haven't you felt how your struggles carved out the very space where wisdom now dwells? Your wilderness was not waste, it was womb. Doesn't your story itself reveal that heaven always had a timeline for your unveiling? Even the silence taught you a language deeper than words. Even the tears baptized you into strength. And now, isn't it undeniable that what once tried to crush you only pressed you closer to God? So as you move forward, do it with intention. Begin your mornings in stillness. Even 5 minutes of silence can reset your spirit and remind your soul who reigns. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Pay attention to your body. It speaks. What heaviness do you feel in wrong environments? Trust it. That peace that shows up when you are aligned, follow it. Isn't it true that your spirit knows what your mind cannot articulate? Don't ignore the compass inside. It is heaven's language speaking through you. Your emotions were never accidents, they were sensors for truth. Your restlessness was never rebellion. It was the Spirit's way of pushing you out of counterfeit comfort. Doesn't it change everything when you realize even your inner conflict was sacred guidance? Not everything and not everyone deserves access to your presence. Guard your energy fiercely. Speak life over yourself daily. Don't just hope for protection, declare it. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Proverbs 18:21. Say it aloud. I am covered. I am guided. I am chosen. Speak these things not because you feel powerful, but because power responds to voice. Haven't you felt how words spoken in faith shift atmospheres faster than silence in fear? Isn't it striking that the Creator who spoke the universe into being also gave you the authority to speak into your own reality? Your decrees are not empty. They echo into eternity. Your voice is not small. It carries resonance with heaven itself. Doesn't that make silence dangerous and speech sacred? The arts echo this truth. In Handel's Messiah, written in just 24 days, the chorus thundered, "And he shall reign forever and ever." That anthem, birthed in obscurity, has echoed for centuries, turning hidden composition into timeless proclamation. Isn't your life the same? What was hidden in silence is now rising in song. What was written in private is about to resound in public, just as Handel's music carried divine weight that outlived him. Your story will carry impact long after your battles are forgotten. Your testimony is not noise, it is a symphony. Doesn't it amaze you that heaven can turn obscurity into anthem and silence into song? Your scars, like Handel's notes, will one day be sung by voices you'll never meet. Isn't that proof that your story is larger than your lifetime? Take time to create, write, move, sing, and build, for creativity is one of the purest expressions of God's Spirit working through you. Let your routines reflect awareness. Fast when you are unclear, journal when you're overwhelmed, light a candle, and sit in silence when the world gets loud. Small actions in the physical realm unlock massive shifts in the spirit. Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. Zechariah 4:10. Doesn't it amaze you that heaven honors even the smallest act of faith? Those seemingly minor habits are seeds of eternal transformation. Every prayer scribbled in secret is a blueprint. Every whispered word is a brick in eternity's architecture. And every small step you take is evidence that heaven multiplies what is surrendered. And most of all, don't shrink. You've been pulled from the fire, not to dim your light, but to shine in spaces others fear to enter. Carry your story not as baggage, but as testimony, a weapon of light. You don't need to convince anyone of your calling, just walk in it. Let your healed presence do what your wounded words never could. This is your time not to strive, but to remember. Rise now, chosen one. Lift your voice, lift your head, lift your light. For the delay is over, the veil is gone, and heaven's timing is here. Walk forward, not in timidity, but in triumph. Live boldly, not as one uncertain, but as one unstoppable. For you are not a shadow, you are a signal. Not forgotten, you are appointed. And not late, you are right on time. Not to chase, but to align. Heaven already made room for you. Now walk in and take your seat, chosen one. This was never about scrambling to prove yourself, but about resonating with what was already prepared. Just as an architect designs the cornerstone before the rest of the structure rises, heaven designed your position before your first step. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. Doesn't it change everything when you realize you were not late, you were being built into alignment? Could it be that every delay was scaffolding, a hidden support system preparing the unveiling? Now that the truth has been revealed and your spirit stirred, it is time to seal this moment in prayer. This isn't just any prayer, it is a divine agreement, a spiritual activation, a declaration of resonance with the frequency of the Most High. In physics, resonance is when two frequencies synchronize, amplifying each other's strength. That's what this prayer is, your voice coming into harmony with heaven's voice. If two of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. Matthew 18:19. Haven't you noticed how even whispered prayers carry disproportionate power? Isn't it because heaven designed your voice as an amplifier of its own will? Wherever you are, take a deep breath, still your soul, and let these words rise from your heart to heaven. Heavenly Father, the one who was, who is, and who is to come, the Almighty, the keeper of my breath, the author of my days, the guardian of my destiny. Today I come before you not as a stranger, not as a wanderer, but as one who remembers, one who now understands that nothing in my story has been random. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Doesn't it humble you to realize that your design was written long before you even had language to question it? Every delay, every escape, every battle was part of a divine design that you wrote long before my first breath. Lord, thank you for the moments that tried to break me but failed. Thank you for the attacks I never saw coming, and the ones I did that never had the final say. No weapon forged against you will prevail. Isaiah 54:17. Can you see now that even the blows meant to destroy you were secretly building resilience? Thank you for sparing me time after time in ways I'll never fully understand, for covering me in darkness, for holding me in silence, for reaching into the pit when I could no longer climb. You rescued me when I didn't even know I was in danger. You kept me breathing when I had no strength left to fight. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. What if the silence you mistook as abandonment was actually heaven shielding you? Haven't you felt how, looking back, the very seasons of emptiness were full of unseen hands? Today, I lay down every ounce of false identity spoken over me. Every label of fear, trauma, and confusion tried to attach to my name. I release them. I break agreement with the lie that I am not enough, not worthy, not ready. I am who you say I am, chosen, appointed, anointed, preserved for purpose. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. 1 Peter 2:9. You did not save me for survival alone. You saved me to awaken something holy, to carry your light into this world, to be a vessel of healing, wisdom, and bold truth. Holy Spirit, activate every dormant gift within me. Let what was buried now rise. Let what was delayed now accelerate. Let what was broken now be made whole. I receive the fire that refined me. I receive the scars that taught me. I receive the silence that trained me. My wilderness was not wasted. It was womb. My scars are not shame. They are signatures. Isn't it undeniable that preparation was hidden in pain all along? I no longer call my pain punishment. I call it preparation. I no longer mourn the wilderness. I see it now as the sacred laboratory where heaven whispered secrets into my spirit. In psychology, they call it post-traumatic growth. The resilience and wisdom forged in fire. In sports, they call it the stillness between plays, the pause where strategy is reborn. In architecture, it is the unseen foundation that outlasts storms. I speak life over my mind, peace over my heart, strength over my future. Let divine timing lead me, divine protection shield me, divine wisdom guide me. May my words carry weight. May my presence shift atmospheres. May my footsteps align with every assignment written for me. Even when the path is unclear, I trust the one who called me. Even when the doors are closed, I trust the one who holds the keys. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. Revelation 3:7. Doesn't that mean every no was simply God protecting the yes meant for you? Chosen one, rise now. This prayer is not just words, it is alignment. It resonates. It is constructed in the unseen. You are not wandering, you are woven. You are not lost, you are launched. Walk forward not as one questioning your worth, but as one echoing heaven's decree. Lift your head, guard your heart, steady your steps. For you are chosen, you are covered, and you are unstoppable. Chosen ones, as we reach the end of this message, remember this. If you are still here, still breathing, still carrying that unexplainable fire inside, then you are not ordinary. You are marked, not by chance, not by men, but by the hand of the Most High. That mark on your life is not a blemish, it is a banner. It is heaven's silent seal declaring that you are preserved, protected, and purposed for such a time as this. So I ask you, do not leave this word behind as just another video. Carry it with you, live it, let it transform how you see yourself and how you step into every room. If this resonated with you, take a moment now to like this message, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and comment below. Write your testimony, declare your faith, and if you haven't yet, subscribe and join this community of chosen ones walking together in truth. To every single one of you, whether you supported through a super thanks or simply by being present and listening, I honor you and I thank you. Your presence here is proof that destiny is alive and still unfolding. And now I release this blessing over you. May your days be filled with divine protection. May your nights be filled with holy peace. And may every step you take align with the purpose heaven wrote for you long before you were born. You are covered. You are guided. You are chosen. Go forward in strength, and may the Lord's face shine upon you always.